Guys, welcome back to another episode of OT in the O3. This is post week 11. Can't believe we're here. It is November 11th, 2025, year of our Lord. I'm your host, Gray Wiley. This is my co-host, Press Terrell. Hope you guys are
How,
doing well tonight.
how
How
are
you
we
doing, Press?
doing? I am wonderful. I am fine and dandy and up here in this good old New England weather. So,
Yeah.
it's funny, it actually snowed in Carolinas yesterday and we got a little bit today, but
How much
never
snow
see
did you
it.
get?
We got a sprinkle. It was like hardly anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I saw some videos. Some people down in North Kakalaki got maybe half an inch. So
Yeah.
it's a
Well,
little early.
yeah, it's coming. If you guys, depending on where you are in the country listening to this, it's coming. So uh be
Snow's
prepared.
coming, and a lot of to tie this in, a lot of football teams may already feel a little frozen right now, and we could.
Really clever. Really clever. So
I'll share you my frozen
y-
crew here.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can keep that to yourself. Anyway, so we'll get this show on the road though, real quick. Thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of OT and the O3. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. Thank you. Um, I will promise you all that are watching and listening to this that social media pages will be up and running by the end of the week. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, so we're gonna get this thing on the rolling. As you guys can tell, we have the gallery view now. We're starting to figure out some things, in the podcasting world. Um, so like I said, the first episode, bear with us. We will get there. So, but thanks, guys.
And not that they
Let's
need to see pretty
yeah, go
faces.
ahead.
I was going to say not that they all need to see our pretty faces. I think we'll get some webcams updated here in the near future. My Dell laptop is terrible,
Yeah, well,
so
hey,
it
starting
looks
from the
good.
bottom, we're not there yet. So, um,
No,
anyway, all right, press. Let's get right into it. We'll
yes,
start off
sir.
with a little recap of the Who's. The Who's, man, they lost a tough one. Lose Chandler Morris at the beginning of the second quarter versus Wake Forest. Never, never were able to recuperate from that. Um, Very ugly game if you had the displeasure of watching it, because regardless if you were a UVA fan or just a fan, um, it wasn't a good game to watch. 16-9 was the final score. Wake Forest 16 upsets Virginia at home, 16-9. Yes, 9 points, three field goals, no touchdowns. That is correct for the Who's. However, the Wake Forest didn't have a touchdown either, other than their punt return. Um, it was an ugly game. I mean, there's really nothing really that's like, oh wow, this is something really to die. It was just an awful game. It was bad to watch. It was as soon as Chandler Morris went out with a concussion at their start of their third possession, it was the first play of their third possession. I mean, it's just that's what it was. And you know, Wake Forest, I give them a lot of credit. I knew this coming in, but I was looking up today, Perez, before we started this. Wake Forest is second in total defense in the ACC right now. And
Yeah, they're pretty
they
solid.
they're solid. They're stout up front, and you know they're really really good at kind of making you one dimensional, or at least trying to make you one dimensional. And as soon as we put our backup quarterback in, Daniel Kalen, who very high recruit coming out of Nebraska, really talented, really good arm talent. But the problem is the one thing you can't teach is experience. And he's only played, I think, three quarters of total football now in college, and they're all come this year, the beginning of this year, in blowouts in the second half. Um, so sophomore. He came in. I mean, I give him a credit for trying to. I mean, he had some good completions, but he was averaging a little over 5 yards, I think, per completion. That's just not going to get it done. It's not. And um, You could tell that the play calling started coming more conservative because they were like, "Hey, we don't know how much you trust you." A la he loses two fumbles on their on within our own territory that lead to points, and you know, I give credit to Wake Forest. I mean, they made it hard on him, and he looked like a deer in headlights. And but it was just a tough situation. I think. I mean, there's no excuses at the end. A loss is a loss. You should have been able to take care of business with Chandler. I mean, hypothetically, with or without him in.
Ray,
But
do you think it was given Wake Forest defense? Obviously, they've done pretty well all season defensively.
yeah, hmm
Do you still think it was a quote unquote upset? I know Chandler Morris was out, but I think the spread was what, 6.5 maybe. I
yeah.
guess
I mean,
upset in the fact that UVA was a top 15 team at the time and Wake Forest, but
I I I, I get what you're
how Wake
saying. Yeah,
Forest probably wasn't for the bad refs call would have beaten Georgia Tech.
right.
I know they got
I mean,
spanked by Florida State last
but that
week,
was an
but
anomaly, and I think everybody can agree with that. I mean, I mean, I think it was 13-0 Florida State at the beginning of the third quarter. I mean, so like, it's not. I think that was
yeah,
an anomaly, and it got away from them, and things snowballed. But to answer your question, to be honest with you, again, I watched every single snap of that game. Um, After having days to digest it and kind of really think about it, I think UVA wins comfortably if he plays, if he doesn't get hurt. I mean, if you were to tell me that they only scored 9 points with Chandler Morrison and lose to, I mean, it's not going to happen. Like, Wake Forest's defense is very good. the they're not gonna, those red zone chances, like, they're gonna capitalize. The one thing about Chandler Morris, he's experienced, and he knows, like, okay, this is a game where it's like, got to be patient, take what the defense is giving you, not rush things. Where Danny Kalen, it looked like the game was really too fast for him, which you expect, honestly, from somebody who hasn't played that much. Um, they ran the ball fairly well, but I mean, when you're down, I mean, and
but
you're in.
I don't think they had. I mean, Chandler Morris was what, like 3 for 6, and they only had 3 points when he was. I mean, I'm not saying they would
I
have
understand.
lost with
I
him
get
in.
no, I get what you're saying, Press, but that's kind of they got one drive, and after a block punt, they kicked the field goal. They got another drive, drove it to like midfield, went three and out. Then the first play of the third drive, he got hurt. So I mean, like, no, I mean, I don't. I mean, you can look at stats and say 3 of 6, but I mean, he played two drives. So I mean, do with that what you will. But I mean, I don't. If you think that they would have only scored 9 points and lost that game with him, I think you're not watching. I just don't think that's an
No,
accurate take.
I bet they would have scored another touchdown or two, but
I mean, but guess what? We'll
who
never
knows?
know. It doesn't matter. So, but Wake took advantage of the opportunity, and they capitalized.
I
And
mean, UVA. I still think UVA is. I mean, they play 10 times. UVA wins 7 out of 10.
well, but again, we'll never know that. I mean, but every game, I think the one thing we've learned about this, and you guys have probably heard me say this on this show so far, is that every game's a season of its own. Every game has its own circumstances. Like Chandler Morris getting hurt and he's out. What are you going to do? And I think, but in that situation too, other guys have to step up and help Kalen, backup quarterback. Guys, that means like receivers, everything else. You got to elevate his play, and they just weren't able to do that.
Line's got a block for him too.
Well, the thing is, the line, I don't think the line, I mean, but if you're giving him 4 to 5 seconds to pass, he needs to get the ball out. I get, everybody has to step up regardless. All
Yeah.
10 other guys have to step up and help him. And, you know, but like I said, it was a tough situation, just a tough game, tough result, obviously. Um, Really, you know, I think it was some things. The one thing, and we'll get into this. There you have Duke next. Duke just came off a loss at UConn. Um, UConn's okay. I mean, they're nothing special.
They're pretty
Um,
bad.
I mean, they're like 7-3 or something like that. They don't play anybody.
Like nobody.
But the one thing I'll say, and people are, really. kind of concerned about the Duke game. Duke has a great offense. They really do. They have arguably one of the, in my opinion, like a top 7 or 8 quarterback in the country in Darian Mensah. He's phenomenal. But Duke can't stop a nosebleed. Their defense is terrible. They're 104th in total defense.
Hmm.
They give up a lot of big plays, like a lot of big plays. Press, look at this real quick, or I guess listen to this. You're not going to be able to see
Yeah.
it. The last,
I'm listening.
you listen?
Yeah.
Good. People at home, listen. Last 3 games, Duke has given up an average of 470 yards offense with 300 yards passing, 107 yards rushing, and over 5 yards a carry.
Pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. They're also the 11th most penalized team in the entire country right now in yards. Okay. That's not going to good, especially. And this is why I think this is a really interesting matchup. And one thing to note for all of you that are tuning in, Chandler Morris is currently on track to play. Tomorrow's gonna be a big day. They expect him, or I would say, quote, they're hopeful that he is will practice tomorrow. If he practices tomorrow, he'll be good to go. But if he's in, obviously, that's pretty much, the game, if he's in or not. I don't give him a chance of winning without him playing.
No, I was
But
going to say they hope he's playing.
yeah, exactly. But with that being said, we're going to assume that he's playing. Um, UVA's defense the last 3 games, again, you can say Wake Forest doesn't have the greatest offense. They don't. Cal's offense is and UNC's offense is not very good. But they have only given up 16 points, not 21 points, and 9 points as a defense the last 3 games. They're playing really well. That averages out to 15 points a game. Their defense is 7th in the country right now in third downs conversions, or third down defense, excuse me.
Hmm.
And Duke is 61st in third down conversions. They have been putting up a lot of yards and a lot of points, but they haven't played a defense. The best defense that they have played over the past couple weeks, press, was 3 weeks ago at Georgia Tech. And we saw what Georgia Tech led up to NC State. We saw what they did. They scored 10 points against Georgia Tech. Now, I do think that's more of an anomaly, kind of how we were talking about with Wake Forest and, Florida State.
Yeah,
But
I just think it's like in the ACC this year, you can just get hot and you can get cold, and
I mean,
it's crazy. I've never seen it
exactly.
like this.
But like to make it like this is going to be an interesting matchup because it's going to be like, I could see UVA really trying to run the ball a lot, protect
Well, I think
Morris.
they got to give Jamari Taylor 30 touches.
Oh man, I don't know if they're
Mi-
going to do that. They might give the
Minimum.
running backs 30 touches, but not him though. I mean that's too much. I mean, I don't know. But hey, at the end
I'm
of the
just
day, you got to
saying
do what you got to do.
you're going into Duke. Manny Diaz is going to spin his ear back on y'all's backup quarterback, and if hopefully Morris is playing, if he's not playing, it may get ugly.
From
I'm
what?
just
Oh no, I agree with you. But I'm just saying. But from what I'm hearing, and from what let's say, you could say a
UVA
lot,
can beat
but
Duke with a backup quarterback if they try and
it'd
run
be
the ball.
tough. It'd be tough. I mean,
I think they
I'd give
can.
him,
I
but
think Jamari Taylor. I don't think he gets enough touches. I mean, if you look at his stats, I think he's like top five in rushing yards per game in the
he's
ACC.
second in the ACC right now in total rushing yards.
So total rushing yards. But I
Yeah,
mean,
total rushing yards. Yeah,
he's behind Hollywood Smothers at NC State,
that's it.
and that's it. But I feel like
No, I'm sorry. He's only behind Claiborne because Hollywood Smuggler's was out of game, but that's not anyway. Go ahead.
so he's second. I feel like a guy his caliber. If you look at UVA's offense, it's more of a pass first offense this year. Maybe I mean
They don't
you.
want to be though. They don't want to be that though. That's the thing is that
I just think they got to run the ball more.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. 100%. But yeah, it'll be a good. We're doing this game, or that we're doing this kind of prediction of this game, assuming that Chandler's going to play because everything that I've read, that I've heard Coach Elliott say in his presser today, believes that he's going to play. So,
Yeah,
it's all about clearing concussion protocol, um, which I think he is. But
I'll say
You know,
Jamari Taylor over 100 yards. UVA wins.
well, I mean, Duke's been giving up everybody over him as 100 yards recently. So, uh, like I said, 100 and um, excuse me, 170 yards rushing average. They've been giving up on average the last three games. So, anyway,
Hmm.
uh, yeah. So we'll see. All right. Well, Tech had a
What's
bye
your
week.
give me your
Go
score
ahead. Go ahead.
prediction for that? Give me your score prediction real quick
If
for UVA Duke.
we're assuming Morris plays,
Yeah, Morris
uh,
starts.
27-21 UVA.
I
I
like
think because I don't think Duke has a very good offense, but they haven't played as good of a defense as it's from especially from like a front seven perspective and probably this year. I mean,
that.
other than I mean, I'd have to go back and look at early in the year. I know they played Tulane and I mean whatever, but I mean that doesn't really matter. It's what
I
you are
think
now.
I think if Morris is starting, they run the ball like I'm saying they should. I think they're pissed off right now. I think they win like
That-
34-20, 34-17.
well, that's another thing.
Just because if you
Go
look
ahead.
at Duke the last couple of weeks, Duke hung around in some games early on, and they got smacked by Georgia Tech, and it's like the air let out of them. They don't have the talent that UVA does. What's their quarterback, Gray, for Duke?
Mensa, he's a
Mensa.
beast. He's incredible.
He's a beast. He can sling it around. They're paying him a lot of money. He's going to be UVA's biggest problem, but I think UVA's. We've talked about their defense and their defensive line the last few weeks. I think they're better, more equipped than Duke's offensive line, and I think if they can get to Mensa, Duke's going to have a very hard time scoring. And it may be like a shootout early on, but I think
I know what you're saying.
the
Once they
coaching
settle
adjustment.
in,
I think once they
yeah.
settle in, and if everybody's healthy at UVA and they're running the ball and passing the ball and limiting their turnovers, I think they can win by 2 scores. But we'll see.
I agree. Well, and that's the last point I want to bring up before we move on to a little bit of Virginia Tech, a little preview here is that the one thing that Virginia has done really well this year, and this kind of goes to how veteran their team is. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody that's starting is like a senior or grad transfer. That brings a lot of leadership, one, but two, every single time they've been challenged this year, they've responded in a massive way. Like they lost to NC State, right?
Yeah.
They went on a tear the next. They were blowing people out the next two games. Albeit William Mary, I get it. Okay. But I mean they came out and they had an attitude about them. And they were like they responded well.
Yeah.
So I don't
Sometimes the early loss is better for. Yeah.
exactly. And I don't think this will be any different than this. I mean, they're gonna come out and they're gonna be pissed off because they should be pissed off. But yeah,
Yeah.
look for that. Hopefully Chandler Morris plays. But let's get into some Hokies right now. I know the Hokies are traveling down to Tallahassee. Um, do you know what time the kick is, Press? Is it afternoon kick
I
or
think
what?
it's 7:30.
7:30?
A
Okay. All
little
right.
late. ACC Network.
How you feeling about this?
I got mixed feelings. We're as healthy as we've been all year. Kyron Jones has played pretty well the last few games. I guess good enough for us to win. Defensively, we're still lacking. Um, we don't have the guys to really stop the run game getting into the secondary. If it gets past our first line of defense, or which our D line has probably been the best part of our defense.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. The interior, especially.
the interior, it can get opened up, pretty quick. We're what are we 67th right now in yards per game, giving up 367 yards, and that's just I just don't like that. I don't really trust it. Florida State's laying like what 14 points
Something I
is the
think that's
spread
the
right
last time I
now.
checked.
I
Yeah, yeah,
definitely
yeah.
think we can. I think we can beat them, but I definitely think we can cover too. I don't trust us right now to beat them. I wouldn't be surprised. I guess I'll say I wouldn't be surprised if it was 30-20 in favor of either team. I also wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 42 to 20 in favor of Florida State,
Blowout. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just because if they get the team that played Alabama, and granted Alabama looked like crap, you just
Yeah.
never know what team shows up.
Listen,
So, and they're top 20, I think, in offense right now. So
no,
they're
no,
still
they're
they're
still
still they're still scoring a lot of points.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Excuse me, yards per game. They're actually third. So
Still, and they had a rough. So they just lost last week to Clemson at Clemson. Okay,
yeah,
but prior to that Clemson game, they scored 42 against Wake. But prior to that Wake game, dude, they hadn't played remotely well since they played UVA. I mean, remotely well,
yeah,
like for what they're capable of. And I think it just depends on what team you get off the bus, dude. Are
yeah.
you going
I
to get
mean,
A, B, or C?
yeah,
What team are you going to get?
if we get there, the middle of the road Florida State team, no doubt, I think Virginia Tech's going to win. Yeah, it just really, and it also depends what team Virginia Tech is going to give out too. Now Tech's
Yeah,
been more
fair.
consistent lately. We haven't been blown out since you could call the ODU a blowout game, but we held it decently close to Georgia Tech. Same thing with Wake, and then we get a win, with NC State obviously, and get a win with Cal, and then Louisville has some injuries, but it's able to pull away, but they still don't really smack us. We kind of hang
Yeah, I know
around.
what you're saying. Yeah.
So I feel good about our team. I mean, the team's probably about as good as they can get. But
Yeah.
if we get that Florida State team that lost to Stanford, I think
I,
we're gonna blow them out. And
well, yeah.
same thing with the Florida State team that showed up at Clemson. We're gonna blow them out.
Yeah.
Like if
Exactly.
because our identity right now is just run, run, run the ball. And if our
Yeah.
defense can get a couple stops, I think we'll be fine. I'm still going to predict Florida State to win. I like them, 30, 36 to 30, somewhere in there. I think both
You
defenses are.
think that you wait, you think Tech's going to score 30 points?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, 36-30, somewhere in there. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Okay.
I think I
Interesting.
think I think we're going to be, probably tied up around halftime, and then Florida State's going to come out, but hopefully I'm wrong, but
I'm
we'll
gonna
see.
go. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
24 to
36-30.
17, 24 to 17 Florida State. I don't trust Tech scoring 30 points. Considering they've only done it twice this year. One of them was against Wofford, and the other one was in overtime against Cal. So I don't trust them scoring 30 points. I just
No,
don't.
that's a fair point. I
So
like the bye week though, where we sat during the bye week, and I think the line is really healthy right now, and all the backs are fresh.
it's true.
Um, I think we can give Florida State problems running the ball.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and Kyron Drones, he's been phenomenal. I think lately of not necessarily making the right. I wouldn't say phenomenal. He's making the right moves to get yards, and I think if we can get some read options going, I think we can score some points.
I
Uh,
agree. Last point before we move on, I will say the best way to put Kyron George right now, and I mean this in the best way possible, is he's not doing anything to lose you the game.
no,
That's the key. That's the
yeah,
key.
and I think
So
we talked about with Cal, if we run the ball 12 times in a row, who cares?
exactly. It doesn't
Like just
matter.
just just run the ball.
Yeah. So
But
but
no, I'm saying
yeah,
Florida
definitely be
State
an
30,
interesting week.
36 to 30 is what I'm
All
predicting.
right. That's bold. Anyway, we'll go on. Good luck to the Hokies and the Who's this
Oh,
week.
also, head coaching search. It's hard to believe what's what these days. The last couple of weeks, it sounds like James Franklin's been tied up, but the announcement hasn't come out. Message boards today say he was house hunting in Blacksburg. You know, who who knows?
Yeah.
There's so many big time jobs open right now. I'm sure Jimmy Saxon's just playing his fiddle, trying to get the biggest, you know, contract that he
He,
can. But apparently, from what I've
he,
heard,
he loves that fiddle.
he loves a fiddle, fiddle diddle diddle. From what I've heard from some guys that are close to the hiring committee for the search committee for Virginia Tech, the offer is out. It's everything that James Franklin wants. It's in his hands. He just needs to sign on that dotted line.
Yeah.
And easier said than done, but maybe he's holding out and recruiting players because once he becomes a coach, Gray, it is illegal to talk to players that are on current rosters.
Yep. Well, he's got to
So
hit the ground running
he'll
too.
be
So
he could be
we'll
holding
see.
out, and hopefully get some talent if he becomes the head coach through the next couple
Yeah.
months. But we'll
Oh,
we'll
hey,
know.
fun fact. I'm sorry, I have to say this, and we got to move on. But Christian Ellis, he entered the transfer portal.
Yeah, I know. I
All
know.
right.
I know.
He visited UVA this week. I didn't
Yeah,
know that until
yeah,
today. I
yeah.
was like, really?
He's our best cornerback. But
Anyway, all right.
he was a transfer that came in anyways, and he won us
Yeah,
the NC State game, but no big deal.
no big deal. Anyway, just had to put it out there. All right, let's move
Traitor.
on. Didn't say he's going to go there, but let's move on to some week 10 excuse me,
Week 11.
week week 11 recap press.
Yeah.
Let's see if we first got here. When we first got Texas Tech 29, BYU 7 press. What a dominant performance statement by the Red Raiders at home.
The Raiders at home.
That's right. We,
Destroyed. Destroyed. Are they the Cougars? They're the BYU
yeah, they
Cougars.
are. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So remember a couple weeks ago how I said BYU was overrated, and then they went and beat Utah.
Hmm.
I still thought they were overrated. Now,
Yeah.
granted, I still think they're a top 25 team, but Texas Tech didn't even look in the rearview mirror. It was over at halftime. It was 13-0. BYU kept it close. I think it was like 20-7 at one point. BYU just never had a chance.
It felt like it was way more than that though. You know what I mean? Like it was like
Oh,
they you knew like two scores, like them being up by two scores felt like 40 points, you know?
exactly,
And
exactly. It's kind of like an old school like Tony Bennett basketball game. Like UVA
oh,
gets it by 10 points. It's like a 30-point lead. You know
I
what I
do.
mean?
I love Tony Bennett. We're not going to get off topic here pretty much, but I genuinely sometimes I just don't miss watching that sometimes. But anyway, yeah, dude, I will say this though, press real quick. Texas Tech, to me, it proved more about Texas Tech than it did about BYU being overrated. Texas Tech is for real, for real. Like they're good, good.
Yeah, they're good. I wouldn't say they're elite. I think the
I don't know, man.
Arizona State loss is
Yeah,
pretty
but they didn't
bad.
have their starting quarterback though. I mean, and I just saw that from first. I mean, you can't put so much stock into that. I mean, when you don't
Uh,
have one of their best players and the leader of their offense out there. I mean, this isn't like Texas Tech did
yeah,
a very
but
similar thing than what UVA did. Is they went in the portal and they spent more money than UVA did. But I'm just saying, but they went and got a bunch of guys that replaced basically the starters on their roster, right?
how do you
Well,
pronounce? Is it Barine Morton?
uh, yeah, Braham Morton or something like
Brand
that.
Morton. So
Yeah,
he's
sorry,
good.
Morton.
He's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's anything special yet. I mean, he's pretty good, but I don't think he's elite.
He's a
He
point guard. That's all you got to be.
he is. He is. I just don't. I don't think Texas Tech is elite. I think they're probably a top 20 team, but
Whoa,
we'll see. We'll see when we get into the playoffs.
whoa,
I just don't think they're there defensively like the top teams are.
yeah.
So, but that's
I
that's
don't know.
my
Yeah,
opinion.
that was good. Good game. Good win though. Texas Tech. Shout out Texas Tech. Having game day there. It looks sick.
Yeah, it's great to have game day in Lubbock. Last time there, they upsetted
Texas.
Texas with
Yeah.
Mark.
Michael Crabtree. Yeah.
No, well, Michael Crabtree. But I was saying the Texas head coach, Mac Brown.
Yeah. Mac Brown.
Um,
Yeah. I know. That was good though. Indiana 27, Penn State 24. Wow.
yeah,
Did you
that.
get to the end of this game? Did
Yeah,
you catch?
I sure did. I sure
Wow.
did. That was so to me watching it. Penn State when they had the lead in the last drive,
Ugh.
they needed a first down,
Yeah.
and they may have needed two to fully run their clock out, and you have got to be able to open up the playbook and not be scared. You're 3-5. I get it. You get a little pep in your step with the interim coach in, but you're 3-5, and you have a chance to beat the number 2 team in the country, which you haven't done since 2016. The irony, I mean, could you imagine James Franklin obviously is fired, interim head coach comes in and gets a top 5 win, something that he just cannot do. I don't think that would sit well with any other fan base that'd be wanting to hire him. But
They
yeah,
almost had it too. So, by the way, the catch that the Indiana wide receiver made, and I'm blanking on his name right now, that Mendoza threw. I mean, that ball that Mendoza threw that he caught in the back of the end zone. That's one of the
yeah,
best catches I've ever seen. It was unbelievable
it's the catch of the year right now.
for
It's the catch
sure.
of the year. It's
And Mendoza, by the way, that's a Heisman moment. That's a separator moment right there. Getting the ball with basically no timeouts in your own territory in like the 10-yard line
yeah.
with however much it was, like maybe a minute, what was it, a minute left? And he drives
It was
all the way
like
down
a minute 50, no timeouts.
no timeouts,
And they
drive
started
all
with
the
the
way down.
sack.
He
He got
started with
sacked.
exactly. He started with the sack, and like people are always looking at it right now. Heisman defining moments. What separates others from one person from the other? That's a Heisman moment. That was Mendoza's Heisman moment. Not
Yeah.
saying it's locked up. I'm just saying that was a Heisman moment. But shout out to Indiana
And
getting a tough.
Omar Cooper. I mean,
Omar Cooper. Yep, thank you. I was thinking of Surratt, but Omar Cooper, unbelievable, unbelievable, unbelievable. Oregon and Iowa, Oregon 18, Iowa 16. The Hawkeyes almost did it. I thought they were going to do it. I thought they were going to do it. Nasty, ugly game.
that's an
I
Iowa
mean,
game. That
it
is
was.
when you play Iowa football, you pray for a game like that.
Oh my gosh,
You
dude.
pray for a game like that. And they honestly did they kick off field goals?
No, so Iowa scored
Yeah.
with they went all the way down the field. They went 95 yards in like what was it, 6 or 7 minute drive to
Yeah.
go all the way down the fourth quarter. By the way, this is Iowa we're talking about. This isn't like some average offense team. This is Iowa. They're horrendous on offense.
Yeah,
They're
what
horrendous.
they're they're awful.
They're horrendous on offense. And they went 95 yards in the fourth quarter to score against Oregon. And they scored a touchdown. Oregon got the ball back with, I believe, maybe a minute left on the clock and went and kicked a field goal to win. I mean, it was just heartbreaking. If you were anything remoting for I, it was heartbreaking to watch. Like it
Yeah,
was just
so
like
I
they
was
had them.
60th in offense right now, 309 yards per game.
Okay, let me tell you something. That's a stat where the stats don't tell the whole story about that offense. I'm telling you right now because they're hard to watch. They've been hard to watch. So anyway, yeah, but good win for Oregon. Another hard fought win, tough place to play. Overall, Iowa's a solid team. They just have trouble scoring the ball at a rapid clip or
I mean,
a
if you were to tell me that Oregon outrushed Iowa 261 to 101, I
oh
would have thought that Oregon would have blown them
blown
out,
them out. No doubt, no doubt.
blown them
Weird,
out.
weird box score for sure. But
Very,
anyway,
very weird.
let's
Iowa
move on.
even won real quick. Iowa even won time of
Yeah,
possession. You know,
yeah, yeah.
so
Well, that's their game. So, but they came up just short. Let's go to probably the best game I watched Well, Indiana was, I guess, but the best game I watched was Cal and Louisville. Um,
yeah.
wow.
Let's talk about the ACC real quick. So the ACC is a bunch of. So I don't know if anybody saw Saturday. They had Jimbo Fisher. Forget the host name. I think it's Taylor something, but they had Eddie Royal and Eric
Tannenbaum.
Taylor Tannenbaum. That's right. Eric McLean on there talking about how ACC deserves to be ranked higher. They were
Ugh.
showing side by sides with Notre Dame and Texas Tech and BYU and all these other teams that are ranked ahead of these ACC teams at the point in time. At that point in time, absolutely correct. If you look at strength of schedule, very similar. The wins against top 25 opponents. You compare Louisville, Georgia Tech to those guys, they look pretty good. They didn't really talk about UVA in that segment grade just because UVA didn't really have a top 25, current top 25 win besides Louisville.
Louisville. Yeah.
But then Louisville and UVA, they go out and they just lay an egg. They just lay an egg.
To be fair, again, both were L's. UVA's was very different though because of Morris being out. I will say that. I think that's fair to say that, right? I mean, You know what I mean? It's not like we had our full arsenal, with our starting quarterback who is arguably, actually, no, he is the best player on the team, and he's not there. I
I
mean,
think
so you're like
Amari Taylor and your linebacker Cam, what's his name, Robinson.
Cam Robinson. Okay, I get that, but I'm talking. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is the most impactful player. Like if he's not there, you're screwed. You know what I mean? Like it's that type of thing. I get what you're saying, but that's a little different, I think, from Louisville. Like Louisville, I mean,
This is what
they were
Louisville
seven.
does
They were
every
17
year.
point favorites. 17-point favorites against Cal, which I thought was absurd. By the way, yeah, I'd said that to you, but
Yeah.
they Cal,
And I remember
you
I was
know,
like, oh no, they're gonna blow them out. I was so wrong. I mean,
no, no,
Sakapola Tule threw
he's
for
good, dude.
323 yards, and Jacob De Jesus, his receiver, had 158. They had 136 on the ground from Kajon Brown. I mean, they're just this is what Louisville does. Louisville does pretty well the first couple months. They get a big time win, and then when it comes to this just lackluster team coming to their house, they always just drop an egg. I don't
They
understand.
played like crap last week against Boston College. They won, but they played terrible
Boston
against them
College
too.
was like so bad though. I don't think Louisville would have lost. But they
No,
wake up and they beat Pitt, they beat James Madison, who's turning out to be a pretty
they
good
beat
win.
Miami.
They beat Miami, which we're looking at now, thinking, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, but maybe I'll just talk about it now. So the ACC, if you look at it right now, we have the ACC standings up. So Georgia Tech, Virginia, Pittsburgh, SMU, Duke all have one losses, right?
Hmm.
So that Duke loss to UConn doesn't count.
No,
Louisville's sitting there at 4-2. Um, Louisville plays Clemson.
on Friday.
I think Clemson's going to give Louisville their third ACC loss.
I agree. I agree.
And I think UVA is going to give Duke its second loss. So now you're looking at SMU, Pitt, Virginia, and Georgia Tech. There may be like a three-way tie coming down the stretch. It just depends on how UVA plays out. Georgia Tech seems to have a clear path forward, um, but they do have a tiebreaker game with Pittsburgh. So I think right now Georgia Tech has a look-ahead game at Boston College this weekend at 3:30. They need to be careful because they can't look too far ahead. They need to get care. They need to take care of business. Pittsburgh, Narduzzi. Everybody saw the post this past couple of days about how he doesn't really care about Notre
I'm
Dame.
sorry. That's just
Whether,
ridiculous.
whether or not he was kidding, that's a
It's
rivalry
ridiculous.
game. It's a top 25 matchup. You better care because the playoff committee, is going to look at that and judge it. And to be frank with you, Notre Dame that a win against Notre Dame seems to have elevated a lot of teams. So if you can get that win in the past, it's a great win. Look at Texas A&M right now. Obviously, Miami beat Notre Dame, so it can kind of give you some momentum. But for the committee, getting a ranked win, I think, speaks value this year. But
For
to
sure.
needless to say, Georgia Tech has to play Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That
Well,
it's the winner of that game, Gray. Unless UVA loses its next two to Duke and Virginia Tech, which they could, unless
that's not
UVA.
going to happen. I just want to put that
No,
out
no,
there
no.
for
I'm not saying it's
everybody to
going to
know.
happen. I'm just
I
saying there.
understand. Your
It it
hypotheticals. I get it.
it
I get it. I
it
get it.
it can happen. Okay, we didn't
Correct.
we didn't think UVA was going to lose to Lake Forest. Well,
Well, I didn't think their
I
quarterback was
I
going to get
I
knocked out of the game
I
either.
told you
So,
to. I did tell you to watch out. But
yeah.
anyway,
Anyway,
Georgia Tech
context.
Georgia Tech loses to NC State. A couple weeks ago. Nobody saw
Yeah,
that coming. Louisville loses to Cal, a Cal team who just does not look good right now. Nobody saw that coming. So it's the ACC. I don't know if you used to watch the ACC Wheel of Destiny back in the day with Lou
dude.
Smith
The Coastal
and
Chaos.
May,
You mean
and
too?
yeah,
Yeah,
and Lou Holtz. I mean, I think Virginia Tech went to the ACC championship game in 2008. We were 5-3 in conference play
it's crazy, dude.
and went to
That's
the
crazy.
ACC championship
Well,
game.
I want to point something out here too because so Pitt they have Notre Dame this week, right? They have,
Yes.
yeah, Notre Dame this week. They go at Georgia Tech and have Miami. They're going to lose one of those games. They're not winning both of those games. They're just not. I don't think they will. Okay,
Yeah.
so they're going to have two ACC losses.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech, to me, again, we're assuming I'm assuming Chandler Morris plays at Duke, by the way. And by the way, the spread just went back down because it opened at 6.5 against Duke's favor was 6.5 because I guess they initially because nobody knew it was going with Chandler Morris. It's already gone down to 5.5. So anyway, for people that pay attention to that really well a lot. But so Pittsburgh, so they have Miami, excuse me, Georgia Tech and Miami after. So Louisville has Clemson
Hmm.
as at SMU versus and at SMU. I don't know if they're winning both of those. Actually, no, they're not winning both of those games. They're just not. I don't think they are. Okay.
I can see
S
Louisville. I can see Louisville beating SMU.
okay. Well, okay, so and then SMU has versus Louisville and they have to travel to Cal.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, the most likely what's going to happen is I think Georgia Tech and Virginia are going to meet in the AC championship. It's just to me that's the most likely. Whether that happens or not is is totally different. You know what I mean? But I think to me that's the most
Yeah.
likely scenario. Or I will say this: they both by
You want to
far
hear
have
a story in your head?
they both by far have the easiest pass to get there, no doubt, out of all compared to the other teams. So
So if you look at it this way, if Clemson knocks off Louisville,
yeah.
right? Louisville goes to 3 losses.
Hmm.
Who do they beat that still has 2 losses right now and has to have a head-to-head against Pittsburgh? Miami.
Yeah.
Miami still, as much as the whole college football world can ebb and flow with Miami. Now, granted, I love my Hokies against Miami on November 22nd because we just can't stand them. They're probably going to beat us, okay? But Miami still has to go to play at Pitt. Being a Hokie fan, being a Miami fan, being a Notre Dame fan, being a West Virginia fan, being all the fans of college football who used to have rivalries or still do with Pittsburgh, nobody wants to go to Pitt in November and
No.
play them. You just
No.
do not want to do that.
No.
But needless to say, Miami with 2 losses, still I think they still control their own destiny. And this is the craziest thing, Gray. This is a world where if you control your own destiny in your conference, you control your own destiny in the playoff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every one of those teams, even if they have 2 losses and by the weekend, they still can control their own destiny. There's so many head to heads. Georgia Tech has to play Pitt. Miami has to play Pitt. Um, Clemson has to play Louisville. There's just so many scenarios. Louisville has to play SMU. It's fool's goal to talk about it right now because
Yeah.
honestly, we're like we probably know 20% of it. Like,
I
what can
know.
we
It's
say?
wild.
We know what. There's only 5 teams that can win the ACC right now. We have
It's totally fine.
UVA, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami, and
Duke.
SMU,
The
and
six
Duke.
technically
There's
with Duke.
six.
Yeah.
There's six, which is a third of the conference.
It's
It's
crazy.
it's just insane.
But anyway, that kind of leads us into our college football playoff rankings conversation. I don't know. The rankings just came out. The second week of the rankings just came out at 7 p.m.
Wait,
Eastern time.
hold on 1 second.
There you
Let
go.
me let me let me fast cap the other Week 11 games. So we
Oh,
talked
you
about
want to fast cap them? Okay, okay.
Yeah, we talked about Cal and Louisville, A&M, Missouri. A&M's just great, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're legit, dude. I mean,
They're
they keep proving every week they're legit.
Drinkowitz, unfortunately, I really like him. He's kind of I don't want to compare him to James Franklin, but he's kind of in that state of it gets done against everybody with the big boys.
He
Um,
doesn't have a starting quarterback though, but he's out for the season, both
true,
Purple. So
true.
yeah,
Georgia, unfortunately, Mr. Brandon Walker, we're sorry. We're rooting for you. The Cowbells didn't do you any good. You said it best when you said
they got
you,
absolutely annihilated.
you just kind of get behind and you just you know Georgia played. I think Brandon said Georgia played like an A minus game, and Mississippi State played a C game. They needed Georgia to play a C game, and Mississippi State played
Yeah.
an like that's the only way that Georgia is going to lose to a team like that. Now, granted, they laid an egg in a couple of games this year. They messed around. They caught it. Obviously, they lost to Bama. They played some other teams close. They played Florida, pretty well. But the last couple of games prior to that, Georgia was not looking like Georgia.
No.
Anyways, Jeff Levy, great coach. I think it's just talent gap there. Ohio State, Purdue. Look, Ohio State can just kind of play slow and kind of like putting a brisket on the smoker. It ain't pretty for like the first couple hours, but once they get going, man, once that fat
Ooh.
kind of
It
you know
start that fat starts
renders
rendering.
renders on the
Oh
top,
man.
then you maybe
Oh,
bring out a
Lee.
little apple cider vinegar and you start spraying it down.
Brits.
It's kind of like giving the players some Gatorade. You know what I mean? They they're in control. Whether or not the scoreboard, you can shut the scoreboard off. It doesn't really matter. They're just in
Yeah.
control, and they're the only team, maybe besides A&M right now, that they're in control throughout every single game. Bama LSU, a rivalry that once was
Still is.
until next year, still is, but it was just a boring game.
20-9. It was never close though, to be honest with you. Like, you know what I
No,
mean? Like the
it,
score was
it, it
closer than
was
it
it
really
was a.
was.
I'm telling you, I hate to bring this up for you, but it's a Tony Bennett basketball game. It's an old
I love
school.
Tony Bennett. I just, I don't need to listen. I
But
don't need to
but
watch that anymore.
Bama knew that LSU wasn't going to be able to score on them, and this is now a Kalen DeBoer Bama team where
Yeah.
defensively they have really turned it up a notch. In the last couple of years, that would not have been the case. Their defense, lost them a lot of games. If you look at the Jalen Daniels game, you look at even the Florida State game this year, defense really did not look good in a lot of sections of Kalen DeBoer's career at Alabama. They're now 18th in the country in total defense with 303 yards per game given up, which is pretty daggone good. They have a better defense right now, and you can compare the strength of schedule and say, Georgia may have played more offensive teams, whatever you want to say. Georgia's behind Bama in defensive yards given up. So props to Kalen DeBoer. Um, they had a new D coordinator come in, and I think they're just running on all cylinders. So, excuse me,
Nice.
what is the D coordinator? It's the guy from New England.
No,
Uh,
he didn't go there. No, you're talking about Matt Patricia?
yeah, he's a D
No,
coordinator
Matt
for
Patricia. No, Matt Patricia went to Ohio State.
excuse me, Ohio State.
But he's doing a hell of a job too, though.
That
No,
yeah,
Kane Womack. No, no,
well,
no.
that's right, that's right, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So he used to be the head coach at South Alabama. But anyway, yeah, but
We're gonna
he's
have
done
to
a good
edit.
job.
We got to edit that out, Gray. And I think earlier I said Texas Tech had a bad defense, like in the first 10 minutes.
No,
I
you
think they're,
no, you
they're,
didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't say that. But we're not going to edit that out. This is
they're
we're pure authenticity over here. So yeah, but CFP rankings though, real quick, we're going to get to. That's where I want to get to
oh,
earlier.
are they
Press
are they are they out?
They came out at 7. I just told you that. They came out at
Sorry, I
7.
was trying to figure out who the D coordinator was for Alabama.
It's okay. It's okay, dude. It's okay. So basically, so the biggest changes, I mean, from a top 12 perspective, so the 12 started at 12, it's BYU, Oklahoma, Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas Tech moved up to 6, Georgia, Alabama,
Oh,
Texas A&M,
got a
Indiana,
bone.
Ohio State.
I got a bone to pick.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh man. Okay.
All right. What's your bone? What's your bone? What's
It's
your
this
bone?
committee. It's the committee already.
What's wrong with the committee for us?
Okay, you go on the road and you win a close Big Ten game against a once was pretty solid team in Penn State, right?
Okay.
You need everything to go your way the last 2 minutes for Indiana, correct?
I, I mean, that's credit. Go ahead, keep going, keep going. Just keep going.
I'm just saying, in a dominating factor, if you're looking at total and utter domination, there is no way on this earth, on God's beautiful green earth, that you can put Indiana right now ahead of Texas A&M. Texas
So
A&M, besides the Arkansas game, they have been dominant. They had a top 10 road win at Notre Dame. They blew out Mississippi. They blew out Florida. They blew out LSU. They blew out Missouri. I'm sorry, but Indiana they're not doing that. They're just
so
simply not.
okay. So I understand what you're saying, but why can't Penn State be Indiana or be Indiana's Arkansas, like how Arkansas was to Texas
Because
A&M?
the strength of the committee this year, the biggest question, you can look at the rankings from last week too. A lot of the guys, Greg McElroy in the game, Joey Callaway, talked about the difference between analytics, eye test, and now record strength. If you look at record strength and go up and down the list of A&M's wins, they have beaten current one, two, three. I guess LSU's not ranked. Okay, so two ranked teams. Indiana, if you look at their schedule right now, let's see here. Their only win is against Oregon.
Oregon, yeah.
And the other guys, I'm sorry, uh, Illinois we know is a fluke. Old Dominion, they didn't look good against Old Dominion the first game. I grant the first game. Michigan State, Maryland, UCLA, they haven't. You can say they haven't been tested. I just think if you're looking as a committee, you need to find the committee's identity. I don't think their new metrics are lining up to what they want to project properly. Because if you look at Indiana and A&M, A&M has much, much, much better wins than Indiana.
So I'll
Uh,
say this. I'll say this.
and
I
and they're not
agree.
none of them are Ohio State who is blowing everybody out.
Right, I get that. I understand where you're coming from. I think my thing about this is that I when we did our initial CFP rankings last week, I had Texas A&M at 2, right?
I did too.
Okay. So, but my point about this is that your bone to pick with the committee is Texas A&M, or excuse me, Indiana should not be penalized for barely beating Penn State at Penn State at Happy Valley when Texas A&M had barely beat Arkansas at Arkansas, and probably Arkansas is probably worse, okay, than Penn State. I'm just saying. However, with that being said, I agree Texas A&M should be ranked ahead of them. But but the key thing is that they should have been ranked ahead of them when these rankings came out.
Absolutely.
There's not enough from this past week just because Indiana had a hard time coming back. The no matter at the end of the day, how many wins and losses do you have? That's what matters. It can be
Sure.
ugly or not. Iowa was a great example of this. Iowa has some of the most ugly football games ever put on display. They're disgusting to watch. They're
Yeah.
gross, but they win. I mean, they're 8-4, 9-3 every year.
They
They
will,
win.
but I will say this though: it does matter though how much you win by and who you beat. Just ask
Yeah, but
Florida State.
everybody. But
Just ask
I
Florida State
understand
a
that.
couple of
I
years
understand
ago.
that.
They go undefeated. The committee, sees them as a top four team, top three team the whole year. Then they start winning games, by not as much. The quarterback gets injured, yada yada yada. Everybody knows the story. You have to be penalized, I think, now in the committee's eyes with the SEC strength of schedule, night in and night out. The Big Ten is not playing that strength of schedule. It's not even close. I mean, the bottom half of the Big Ten
They're
compared to
top heavy. They're top heavy.
the Big
Yeah.
Ten, great. I don't think the Big Ten, and Joey Galloway made this point with Kirk Herbstreit this past week. I don't think the Big Ten is much better than the ACC on a whole, on a conference as a whole.
I 100% agree with
The
that. And
big the
people
Big Ten the Big Ten has
before
top
people freak
performers and
out, about this, whoever people are listening, before people freak out about this take, go look at the whole entire ACC. Just go look. Just go. I just want you to look at it, just from top to bottom. Just go look at it before you make an opinion. But keep going. I just wanted to point that out
No,
there. Go.
obviously Ohio State's the best team out of that conference, but outside of Ohio State, who else can you trust in the Big Ten right now? Oregon, top 10
Well,
team.
Indiana for sure.
Indiana, okay, but then after that, so you have three teams. After that,
It's
they're they're
6-7,
they're
as they
they're
say.
they're no good. I mean,
Yeah.
they're no good. The ACC, and now granted, I know the ACC beats up on itself every week, but the ACC
So
has
does every other conference, though.
Pittsburgh,
That's
Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, UVA, Louisville,
Miami.
Miami, and I would not want to play NC State at NC State
Yeah. Or SMU at SMU.
or SMU at SMU.
I
I'm
mean,
telling you, there are six teams in the ACC that could get a top 15 win. Okay, maybe from 3 to 15. So exclude A&M and Ohio State. But there
in
are
Indiana, I'll put Indiana in there.
I
I would
think I
exclude
think
Indiana.
I think some teams could get Indiana.
All right.
I think if Miami catches Indiana,
Well,
I think
Miami could do that to anybody. That's the whole
well, Georgia,
frustrating thing about me.
I
Miami.
think Georgia Tech, SMU. I think Virginia could get Indiana on a bad day.
I don't know.
Gray, I'm telling you, they can.
Well, anyway, but yeah, I mean, I say, I get your bone to pick, but I would say this though. The one thing I appreciate about the CFP, and you see it again this week with the rankings that have come out. And
They're gonna
again,
be consistent.
Well, well, that the consistent one, but I think too, I like how they appreciate the head to head. I really do, with the exception Miami and Notre Dame. That's kind of a tough.
I would rank Notre Dame ahead of Miami. I get
I,
that.
I I would too, but I mean, like if you look at, I'm going from the very bottom. So I mean, like for example, like you rank Virginia ahead of Louisville. They beat Louisville, right? You rank USC above Michigan. They beat Michigan. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
BYU and Utah, they're right near each other in the rankings. You rank BYU ahead of Utah because they beat Utah head to
yeah.
head. And I think that matters. Texas and Oklahoma, 10 and 11. And I appreciate that because it gives us, first of all, I think it's the correct thing to do. Second of all, it gives us transparency, being like, okay, well, this is why they're right here and they're not, this is why they're 13 and not 14 or vice versa,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
No, you're right. And we talked about this last week. I mean, look at it. Texas over Oklahoma, they're 10 and 11. Texas had the head to head. BYU over Utah, they're 12 and 13. BYU had the head to head.
Yep.
Um, you know,
USC, Michigan.
USC, Michigan, Virginia, Louisville.
But
Yeah.
that's but I appreciate that because I think that's how, again, Alabama, Georgia, they both 8-1,
Yeah.
4 and
Yeah.
5 head to head. So
Yeah.
I think they're going in the right direction. This is the thing about committees, though. There's always going to be a bone to pick with something. It's never going to be perfect. You never can please everybody, but I think they have done. I really do want to say they've done a really good job. I think because it's very transparent to me, and you can say, "Oh, well, I see why." I mean, and it's crazy. The top three are the biggest debate, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny,
Yeah.
But anyway,
Let
shout
me
out to
give
the
you
committee.
my top 12 right now.
All right, go ahead.
And again, I'm talking on the perspective of if everybody played each other, that's in the top 25. Who would
Hmm.
win? Who would have the most wins if they all did a round robin? Everybody played each other, you know,
Yeah.
once, maybe twice. Who would have the most wins? I will say they're not in my top 12 yet, but I do think if Miami does keep winning, if they can prove to be back on track, obviously, the Louisville loss was ugly. Losing at SMU is tough. SMU may catch a lot of other teams as well. Which
Yeah.
I'm surprised SMU may not be ranked, but yeah, I
No,
guess
no, they should be. They had a. I mean, they've had a tough. I mean, they had a good Miami win, but other than that, they haven't been that impressive this year.
yeah.
So
I just think the top of the line Miami. If Miami can come back to that top level of blowing Florida out, beating Notre Dame, I think they're going
yeah.
to be a top 10 team again. But we'll see. So coming in at 12 is Vanderbilt, who had to come back against an Auburn team. A lot of fired coaches. Their teams, whether it be Auburn, Virginia Tech, LSU, Penn State, all seem to have a little bit of life jumped back into them. Arkansas.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's a scary situation. Auburn may have more talent on that team than Vanderbilt did, but again, Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, Clark Lee, they
Find a
just
way.
they find a way. In front of Vanderbilt, I have Oregon winning a tough road game at Iowa at 11. Texas Tech, I really thought they played well against BYU. Again, like we talked about in the first segment of this podcast, I don't think Texas Tech is elite yet. I think they
Hmm.
have what it takes. I think the Arizona State loss was pretty bad. Arizona State, who went to the playoff last year, I know they had Cam Scatterbo, but they've really fallen off the face of the earth this year. I think that Texas Tech loss looks worse and worse. Oklahoma, I like their steadiness right now at 7-2. Right above Oklahoma, I have Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is a national title contender. I know they have two losses, but two very, very close losses. One on the road at Miami, and then one at home against A&M, who I have a lot of respect for right now.
Yeah.
Above Notre Dame is Texas. Texas will get to prove their schedule, prove their season, prove their everything this year. This is a Texas team that was
This
number one, went from not being ranked. Now they're climbing back up. But
I got Georgia this week.
here's the thing. The difference between the Big Ten and the SEC is that SEC has a war every single week.
Yeah.
And I truly hope that if Georgia wins by 3 points, 10 points, whatever it may be, a close game, Texas should still be a top 12 team. And I think
Yeah,
if
for
Georgia
sure.
and I think if Georgia loses, Georgia drops 8-2, they should still be a top 12 team. So I don't
Yeah.
I don't think unless there's a blowout in one way or the other, both should remain in a playoff spot. Above Texas, I have Ole Miss. Ole Miss is dominant right now. I think they are very scary to play. And then above Ole Miss, I have the Indiana Hoosiers. Frankly, I would not take Indiana over right now. I wouldn't take Indiana over a couple teams. I wouldn't take them over Notre Dame. I wouldn't take them over Texas right now. I wouldn't take them over Georgia, Bama, A&M, or Ohio State, but I have them in there as four just because they're still undefeated.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, you have to win games, whether they're ugly or not. If you can win, that proves a lot.
Wins and
Georgia,
losses.
Georgia's four, Bama's three. I don't think we need to really go over why. Texas A&M at two, and Ohio State at one.
Okay. I hear it. So I understand your logic. But however, I don't agree with it. So I have Vanderbilt 12 right now.
Well,
I
look at that.
have what?
Let's look at that. We both have them at 12.
Okay, well, bear with me. I have Notre Dame at 11,
Okay.
Texas, Oklahoma at 10, Texas at 9. I have Oregon at 8. I have Texas Tech at 7 and Ole Miss at 6. And then the rest of them, um, I have Georgia at 5, Alabama 4, Indiana at 3, Texas A&M 2, Ohio State 1. So mine are fairly similar to the committees. I don't, I understand why BYU and Utah are ranked ahead of Vanderbilt. Well, at least BYU, because BYU's 8-1. I get why they put them in front of them, right?
Who's
Um,
winning that game?
Say it again.
If Vanderbilt played BYU or Vanderbilt played Utah, who's going to win that game?
I don't. I mean, well, first of all, I think Utah's the most overrated team. I mean, you could make a case that Utah should be like 24
Great. If you had
to me.
$1,000 to put on that game, Vanderbilt versus Utah, Vanderbilt versus BYU,
Well,
I
first
know
of all,
you.
I
I
I
know. I
would
know
bet
you. I'm just saying. If some guy on the
for
street gave you $1,000 and said Vanderbilt's playing Utah tonight and then Vanderbilt's playing BYU tomorrow, everybody's fresh. Who are you putting your money on?
well, first of all, they'd wax Utah. What like wax Utah, in my opinion. And BYU, I think it would be close, but they would win. Um, but I don't I think Utah is the most overrated team in this. They beat nothing but bad teams like that are, and you can go look at their
Yeah,
schedule. I mean,
but
to
again,
me,
this is my point with this is my point. The bone picking with the committee is a lot of it's the eye test, and a lot of it is the analytics within the strength of schedule. I don't think those teams should be ranked ahead of Vanderbilt. That's just me.
well, also too, I have a problem with I understand why they do eye tests, but at the same time, like nobody can define that. You know what I mean? What the hell does that mean? Eye
Well,
test.
I think
Well,
if you look at Ohio
your
State,
eyes are different from mine. to me, I mean, everybody's eyes are different. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
they're
but
like
look
the
look
eye
look at
test.
Ohio State. Who
I
who
get that. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get why. I'm just saying that people want metrics. They want things that are like, for example, head to head. So they're measurable. You can say, oh, well, this team beat that team. So they're ahead of them. Therefore, they're ahead of them.
I will
So, but
say,
anyway,
talk about head to head real quick, and I'll let you wrap up. But
yeah,
if it comes to down to the head to head, and let's say
yeah.
there's a fight for, um, maybe the 10th or 11th spot, and
Hmm.
Miami somehow makes to the ACC title game and they lose and they have three losses, right?
Yeah.
Because if they were to win the ACC, that they're in. But
Hmm.
let's say they lose, Miami has three losses, and Notre Dame wins out and has two losses, and Notre Dame gets in.
Yeah.
I would think in that scenario, now this is against what I've been saying in the last 20 minutes. I would think in that scenario, given that Miami's had three losses, I don't know. That's tough. That's just tough. Like who do you pick there?
I mean, you'd have to go with Notre Dame. I mean,
Ten a
that's
ten
there.
and three a 10-3 Miami team losing in the ACC championship to say,
You would have
Duke,
to. I,
Duke is
I would.
getting
I
in,
would have to go with Notre Dame. I mean, I know it's like the head to head, but that's other. You're also involving other factors involved because that means they have one more loss than Notre Dame does. So, like that's they're not. It's. I think the head to head really comes to fruition where when the teams have a identical record, and that's the tiebreaker. You see what
right.
I'm saying? So anyway,
Sure.
well, that's a CFP little wrap up there though for you guys. We do have a good, real quick. I would like to go over the Week 12 slate. We have a great Week 12 slate for us. Really good week. I'm really looking forward to this. Obviously, we'd already talked about Virginia and Duke, but on Friday at 7:30 with Clemson and Louisville, that's a sneaky, really good game. At and then we at 7:30, then we
This
have
this is
Minnesota.
a game where I pray for the ACC to keep on being the ACC, keep on being the
Right.
wheel of destiny.
So
Please.
Minnesota goes to Oregon at 9. Minnesota's 6-3, 4-2 in the Big Ten. Oregon's a 25.5 point favorite. Just keep an eye
Hey,
on that game.
if they row the boat and they beat Oregon, I think Oregon's out of the playoff for good. Unless Oregon wins the Big Ten, which they would mathematically they would be out of it.
Yeah.
Um, Minnesota. So we're creeping down to the last few weeks. Gray, we got a couple bye weeks for some teams here and there, but a lot of these games they're not playoff games, quote unquote, but they are playoff games.
Yeah.
You're coming down the final stretch. You cannot afford to lose. You lose, you're
Yeah.
done. Oregon loses, they're done.
Yep. I agree. So then we'll go look. So we got Oklahoma at Alabama. Um, that should be another good test for the Tide. That's a huge game for Oklahoma, pretty much a playoff eliminator. We got Notre Dame at Pitt. That's gonna be Notre Dame's 11.5 point favorite. I don't know where the hell this game's gonna go, which way or the other. I
Yeah,
really don't. I don't. I don't.
I
I
think
don't.
Notre
I
Dame's
would
going to
lay a
win.
finger on this game.
I think Notre Dame's going to win, but again, this is a playoff eliminator. Pittsburgh wins, Notre Dame's out of the playoff.
Yeah, I agree. I
More
agree.
than likely.
So, yeah, but no, and then we have going down the line here, we got Iowa at USC. That's a playoff eliminator game. Um,
Absolutely. I mean,
for at
that's
three at
that's
three
that's going to be
thirty.
an awesome game. Defense versus
Awesome
offense.
game. Yep, that's right. Yep. Then we got
Can Lincoln Riley become himself like he was at Oklahoma? Can he
we'll
finish
see.
through a season like he did with Baker Mayfield all those years?
And Kyler Murray. Oh yeah. And then the cap it off, we have Texas at Georgia. Um, Pretty much close to
Ooh,
a must win for Texas at 7:30.
ooh. Did
So
we talk about Oklahoma at Bama?
yeah, I already mentioned that. Yeah.
That's that's a playoff eliminator for Oklahoma. Alabama can obviously they can lose and still be okay, but
Yeah.
and then I'll say this real quick, a little sneaky game that we all should be looking out for. And this is a game that comes into the year. You got 9 weeks behind you, 10 weeks behind you. You got a fired coach. You got a coach that may be looking at that fired coach's previous job. Florida and Ole
Oh
Miss.
God.
7 o'clock ESPN. Lane Kiffin, you better get your hot yoga ready, boy, because I'm telling you, the Gators, they look bad, but they would nothing would please them more than to come down and ruin your season.
Well, I don't know.
They could do it.
I don't feel confident. So for your best bet this week, is that going to be the game?
No, Ole
What's
Miss
going
is
to be
going to
your
blow
best?
them out. No, Ole Miss is
Okay.
going to blow them
See,
out.
this dude, man. He's like, well, you better watch out. They're going to blow him out. Um,
Hey, I told you to watch out about Wake Forest, didn't I?
you did not say if you would have told me that Chandler Morris gets concussed on the beginning of the third drive of the game, he's gone the rest of the game. I would say
Great.
for
Hindsight's
sure.
2020. Hindsight's 2020. I just said
Context
watch.
matters, though, brother. I'm just saying.
It does,
Well,
but guess what? UVA, you cannot act like, and this I'll say this to all UVA fans. I don't care. You come at me, chirp at me, comment, whatever. You are not as good as your starting quarterback is. That may be true. Okay, but you're only as good as your weakest link.
okay,
And
here we go
And
with
so, for UVA, which is a
here we
team
go.
that I actually like this year,
He's lying.
they have to consistently be uh, better across the board in most positions, which they have been. But
I agree.
the argument that we're a couple loss, team with or without Chandler Morris, we're 8-4 or seven
Eight
and
and two.
five.
They're 8-2, brother.
No. I'm saying if you didn't have Chandler Morris, I think if you didn't have Chandler Morris for them for the fans to think, oh, we're a much worse team, I just don't think it's that accurate. Chandler Morris is a good passer. He is a good facilitator. He is a good leader. I don't think he's great in any categories. I don't think he's elite in any categories. A lot like Kyron Drones of Virginia Tech.
Don't even put him in the same sentence. That's disrespectful to Chandler Morris to put them in the same sentence.
Hold
That is
on, hold on,
disrespectful.
hold on,
That is disrespectful.
hold on. Let me finish. Would I rather have Chandler Morris on my team over Kyron Drones? Yes, I would. But if you look at statistically speaking, they're not much different. And I do think Kyron
Oh
Drones
my God.
has more rushing yards this year. So on a score making facilitating category, I don't think Cam Chandler Morris is going to hurt you being out as much as UVA fans think.
Bro, you're a fool.
I
I'm gonna say it.
I still
You're a
think
damn fool. You're
I
a damn
still
fool.
think I still think UVA should have beaten Wake Forest without him.
I agree with you. Dude, listen here. All right, this is ridiculous.
Chandler Morris
When you brought you did
is
not
not going to
if you
blow
brought
teams out for you.
you would have been fine if you didn't bring up Kyron Jones. Kyron Jones is awful. He's terrible as a quarterback. He can
I don't
run the ball. That's
think
it.
he's
He threw for
terrible.
75 yards. He threw for 75 yards against Louisville. 75 yards. That
Yeah,
is
Louisville's
atrocious.
the best defense that we've played all year.
He had a below 50% completion percentage press.
What did Chandler Morris throw against Louisville?
A lot better than 75 yards. I'll tell
I
you that much.
guarantee it won't much better because UVA needed
I,
a pick six and some special teams to win that game. I'm
well,
just
I'm
saying
just telling you the fact that
they're not much
this is the
far
thing.
apart.
No, they are. And if you, that's crazy that you would say, if you, one, I'm just telling you right now. So sorry that,
Chandler Morris had a buck 50 against Louisville.
so he had double what he had. So you can say, let's just say that
75, 150. I mean,
that's double the amount of yards. Literally, that's double the
yeah,
amount of
but
passing
you know
yards.
that 150 isn't very good, regardless.
It's not, but you're trying to make it seem like that's close. 75 yards passing, dude, his completion percentage is under 60% of the year. I mean, I don't understand how
It
you
is.
put them in the same. This is the thing, Press, and I don't think this is another thing that people don't understand. This is that offense when Chandler Morris came in
I
the
mean,
spring,
we did.
they
If you
built
look
that
at
up.
the stats, we
Let
actually
me
had
finish.
more.
Let me
We
finish.
actually
Let
hold
me
on. We
finish.
actually had more yards against Louisville than UVA did.
Okay, that's great. Guess what? You lost, so nobody gives a shit. So, but I'm just saying. So, but what I want to say is that they came in the spring, and he said they're like, we're going to give you a lot of say in the offense. The offense was already the base structure of the offense was there, no matter who's going to play a quarterback.
Yeah.
but he's the one that says, "Hey, I like this. I don't like this." Right? So they tailor the offense to him, the whole offense. So and then they started there and they built everything out. So when you take him out of the game, okay, you're total that play script that you have, you're throwing it out the window. You're like, okay, what else do we have in here? Okay, with the guy that's played three quarters. So some impacts are not created as equal as others. That's why I'm saying that it was like I get what you're saying about the point about him like being an elite quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. He's a damn good. He's one of the best in the ACC for sure. Top five, no doubt, no doubt. It's not even a discussion. And you're talking about impactful quarterbacks and what the plays that he's made. He could have a terrible game. Wait, UNC, he had a terrible game, awful game, worst game of the year, worst game of the year. When it was time to make a play, though, he made the play. Florida State, time to make the play, makes the play. Louisville, time to make the play, makes the play every time. And that's what you need. That's what good quarterbacks do. They go out, and he's the reason they win games, not the reason they lose games. He's not trying to not lose games. They're saying, go win it for us, four. Go do what you do. Right. So
Yeah, and again, yes, I would rather have Chandler Morris on my team. But
but
I'm
I'm
just
not trying
saying,
to listen. I'm not trying to get mad at Kyle. I'm not trying to down Kyron Drones here.
no, no,
Please,
no.
people, I'm not trying to
He's
say
not
that.
great. No, he's not great either. We've had him for 3 years, and look at our offense.
No,
I'm
he's
just
bad.
saying,
I'm sorry, he's bad.
I'm just saying on a production standpoint, Chandler Morris right now is 67%. Kyron Jones is 58%. Yeah, he wins that. Chandler Morris passed for 2,000 yards. Kyron Jones has passed for 1,600 yards. Kyron Jones has a 15-6 touchdown interception ratio. Chandler Morris has a 12-5 touchdown interception ratio. Chandler Morris has 214 yards on the ground and 4 rushing touchdowns. Kyron Jones has 500 yards on the ground and 8 rushing touchdowns.
Mhm.
One could even argue that if Virginia Tech didn't have Kyron Jones, that would be more of an impact to Virginia Tech than if UVA didn't have Chandler Morris,
So you're
based
going to
off
tell
of
me
those
that,
stats.
so you're going to tell me that those stats are accurate when the guy,
We've
so
we've
no,
played a much
just hold on 1 second. You're going to tell
yep
me those stats are accurate when he didn't play. So he got hurt. I'm sorry. He got hurt with 3 minutes left in the second half against Coastal Carolina. So he didn't play a half. So he didn't play. He played a quarter and a half versus William and Mary. He played a
yep.
half versus NC State, and then he didn't play an entire game versus. Oh, I'm sorry, he didn't play three quarters of the game versus Wake. And you're going to tell me that those stats tell the entire story about the comparison between Chandler Morris and Kyron Drones. They don't. I'm
I
just
think
saying.
on a production level, if you also were to factor in other things like strength of schedule right now, I think
Oh my God, dude.
they're very pretty daggone accurate to me. I mean,
Oh my God. All right, you know what? We're going to agree to disagree because I'm not going to be able to go to bed after this because this is. I mean, that's just that's you need to get. If somebody has a good like psychiatrist to recommend, drop it down in the comments. So send this dude because this guy is on something, and we're going to
uh,
get off of that topic. But anyway, but keep doing. We'll see what Kyron Drones does this weekend. We'll see what he does. Let's see how
hey,
good he is.
and November 29th. Hey, again, I think he's a good quarterback right now. I obviously he's not going to he hasn't won us a lot of games, but I think he's consistent and I think he's developing into a good role. Um, gives
But
the Hokies.
he wanted to transfer. Nobody wanted him.
Great. I didn't
You
say he
said
was
that
a great.
yourself.
I know. I didn't say he was a great quarterback. I said he was good. Chandler Morris, Kyron Jones are good. Would I rather have Chandler Morris? Yes, I would. But we have
Okay.
Kyron Jones, and to what he does to his team, a loss to Kyron Jones would be more detrimental to Virginia Tech than a loss to Chandler Morris would be to UVA.
We'll
That's
see. We'll see.
all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Keep going. All right. Well, we're gonna get off that, and that's pretty much a wrap for this week's pod. However, I do want to get one best bet from you. What's your best bet from this week, Press?
Um, I would say that Kyron Jones throws more touchdowns. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh shoot. Give me 1 second here.
I'm gone.
My laptop's about to die.
All right,
Um,
well, I'm gone.
I would say my best bet week 12 here. I would say Alabama covers against Oklahoma 6.5.
Okay.
I think they win by 10 points, 30 to
All right.
20.
Okay. Now this is all, well, no, I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to bet with my head, or I'm going to recommend my head, not my heart. So right now we have Notre Dame's 11.5 point favorite. Um, I would say they don't
Pittsburgh
cover.
Pittsburgh covers.
I say Pittsburgh covers. I did say earlier, don't touch this game, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, they're going to cover.
I like
I was
it.
like, they're
I
going to
like
cover. They're going to
I
cover.
like
I think that's a safe bet.
at home.
So those are your best bets. Well, guys, that's all we had for you. I know we went a little bit longer
That was a
than we
lot.
normally
And let me
do.
let me just bump in real quick before we shut down. I think what's going to make this podcast interesting is for a lackluster rivalry in the state of Virginia, for a crappy football rivalry and basketball and just in general, none of the teams are consistently any good. The fire I think that we both have for our teams, we can go back and forth like a
Always.
all the time. It's good fun, and I think we have a lot of passion where you may not see from the lower tier, football programs. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
that's
if
right.
I'm wrong about Kyron Drones, if he's wrong about Chandler Morris or any other topics out there, comment, like, and subscribe. Like Grace said, we're going to get some more social media platforms rolled out by the end of the week.
Friday, by Friday, you
By
guys look
Friday,
out.
okay.
Yep.
Instagram,
Instagram and X.
okay. Let's do
Yep.
it.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of OT and O3. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We will be back next Tuesday for you at 8 o'clock Eastern time. That is it for us. Peace.
Peace out, guys.